let's say I'm applying to Target. I want to be a social media manager at Target or anything at Target, doesn't matter. I'm going to make my resume white and red. Like, I'm going to make the resume look like Target's brand because it's a brand. If I apply to the same exact social media manager job, but it's at Five Below, it's going to be blue. Mm-hmm. Because, like they don't hate the color blue clearly because that's their color. It's like they're not going to be mad that their logo is in a resume.
Welcome everyone to the Tech Guide podcast. I'm the show's host, Ryan Atkinson. Everyone is wanting to break into tech and have a successful career. The only problem is how. We'll use this podcast to sit down with people that have broken into tech, pivoted their career, or have actual advice to young working professionals. Today, we have Andrea Logan on the podcast to talk about resume advice and how you can stand out with your resume using the brand's colors. Super interesting topic. We also talk about what a social media marketing manager does and how you can break into being a social media marketing manager. She has a ton of advice as she's a content creator herself, has over 300,000 followers on TikTok, over 40,000 followers on LinkedIn. She's someone that you want to learn from. So make sure to follow or subscribe to this podcast and share with any other friends that may want a tech guide. You can also learn more about us at techguide.org. Thank you for being here, Andrea. Super excited to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited too.
Before we dive into it, I always got to ask us, you're a busy person. You do a lot. You talk with people all the time. Busy day. It's over. How are you de-stressing from work?
I de-stress from work by soaking up the sun. I'll go out on the patio and just sit there outside in the sun. And I'm a meditation instructor now because of my busy life. So I like to meditate outside, which is great.
Now, can you give us like a quick 30 seconds on how people should meditate? I love this.
Yes, we can make this whole podcast about meditation. Yeah. Best thing you could do is set a timer for beginners at like 90 seconds and just sit there with the 90 seconds and let your mind go. If you get distracted, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what comes up. If you get sad, lonely, you think it's weird, you're bored, just do the 90 seconds and try to build on that 90 seconds, just like you're going to the gym, but for your mind. You'll kind of start seeing your mind wants to add more to your time frame. And that's how I started meditating every day.
There you go. I love meditation as well. I'm up to 10 minutes now, but I am starting to stress. I love meditation. It's changed my life.
Yeah.
And I've going to listen to do the same.
That's awesome.
And so you started your career as a social media marketing manager. You then pivoted to a human resources manager. And now you're a resume coach, content creator, putting out a ton of great stuff. Can you take us first, though, to when you were a social media marketing manager and how you really got this role and what it really entailed?
Yes. So I be on social media. Like that was kind of the thing. Every job I've ever had, even from like snow cone stands to just receptionist, a pool company, just all those little jobs we get, I was always the youngest and always just the person who people would go to be like, will you get the social media? Can you make us stuff? Like, will you post this? How do we do this? Moms, everything. What's a hashtag? And so I'm just like, well, it's just a part of my job description now. Like I'm doing the social media. So it always was something that I did, even if it wasn't like literally written in the job description. And I'm good at social media. That's the thing. Like I really like to create content. Now that I'm a content creator, I don't consume it as much. Because I'm really making it very authentic to who follows me, what people say to me when they do DM me. And it became this whole lifestyle. And it really started on Snapchat. Like I really started on Snapchat going hard, but MySpace, Zanga, Flickster, like all those underground things when we were like kids and not supposed to be online was me. Like I was there. So I really grew up with it. And it's just something that's a part of me that I know really well. And it really started my career through just social media marketing and management and content creation. So that it's just always been a thing.
That's super interesting. And because now when you do content creation, you have over 300,000 followers on TikTok, over 40.
Over
40K on LinkedIn.
like a ton on Twitter as well. And a lot of this revolves around resume advice. So I'm just curious, like, where did this passion for resume advice come from? And how did you decide to just be like, I'm going to start creating content out of resume advice, your advice?
It's pretty wild. So, pandemic, and I was a daycare teacher, not a
Mm.
24-hour daycare. No, no. It was real, real rough.
Yeah.
And it was rough before virus and everything. But then once that hit and they, everything shut down, and it got worse and worse and worse because the daycare didn't shut down because it was
Yeah.
24 hours. And it was in a real rough area of the city I was in at the time. And it was just really bad and really stressful and very hectic. This was way before meditation, way before everything.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I can't do this. I'm going to get sick. This is not the place I need to be. Like, this is the worst ever. We're really not getting paid. So I got a dip. And I was just like, all right, I'm going to start job hunting for the first time ever. Because usually I'm on Snapchat. Who's hiring? Is a job hiring? Like, I'll work in with it. So I got the daycare job. And I have been a resume writer. Like, I used to be a resume writer and a career coach prior to being a teacher at a daycare. And prior to a lot of the stuff that I did, it just never clicked. Like, it never clicked to me to make a resume writer resume. Because that's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds weird. This is my resume as a resume writer. And it just didn't click to me or occur to me to do that. I was just trying to find any remote job. Like, I looked into transcription. I looked into like audio editing, audio books, stuff like that people, they look up because they don't know what remote jobs are out there. And then I just decided to take my own tips for the first time ever. And everything that I ever told any client to do prior to me being a teacher to do with their resume and their LinkedIn and their cover letters and hitting people up, I started doing for myself. I was just like, all right, looked up some strategies on how I was going to be the most like strategic just because I'm super impatient. And I was like, I'm not going to be out here with no job. Like, it's pandemic. Like, we're not sure about these checks that are coming out. Where are the stimulus? It was at that time where it was real rough.
Yeah.
I was just like, whatever. I'm going to make myself a resume, write a resume. I'm going to look up how to get emails opened, first and foremost, some email marketing. I'm going to email everybody that I can find on LinkedIn at these jobs that are hiring. And I'm just going to get a job. Like, I don't care what it is. I'm going to get a job. And so I just applied to every remote job that I saw late on Sunday night. Nice. Because people open up their emails the most at 10:50 a.m. Monday morning. According to that. And I just did that all night. I stayed up all night on Sunday night, late one night. And then I did that, posted, all my little stuff to every little job board. And I just woke up on Monday and my email was full, just absolutely full of job offers, absolutely full of people contacting me. My DMs were going to the roof on LinkedIn. Like, oh my gosh, you're so impressed with your work. I want you to work for us. Like, skip the interview. Can you start? And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I just did something, like I was like, what did I just do? This doesn't happen to people. Everybody's losing their jobs. Everybody's getting laid off. Everybody's getting fired. Everybody's, companies are going under. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I think I just figured something. And so I was like, maybe I should teach people how to do this instead of actually trying to get a job. I should teach people to do this. So that's kind of how that started very mid 2020.
Interesting. So we got to really dissect that then. So you're saying, there's a lot in there. There's a lot of meat, right? Take it through, what was in that process? You identify a remote job that you want to have. It's Sunday night when you're getting ready to blast this out, do your work. I mean, take through some of the steps that helps you get recruiters to actually respond to you.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I am so nosy. I'm the nosiest person on earth. Probably. I would love to claim that. And so I do a lot of research on the people that I'm going to connect with or talk to. I know so much about them before I even hit them up. You know what I mean? And I try to tell people, especially on the lives now, on social media, I try to tell people, if you're the type of person, man or woman or other, who searches your date, real wildly before you actually go on a date or before you meet up with them, or you check them out. That whole Facebook just
really creeping through every post and every picture. Right. If you could do that, you can get a job. You can job hunt because it's the same amount of energy and it's the same exact skill set that you're using to do all of this like info gathering. You're building a file on your date. You're building a file on a recruiter or an HR manager or a CEO even. You know what I mean? So I like to use Trello. Or you can use anything, you can use Word. It doesn't matter. You can write it down on a piece of paper, but I like to use Trello to keep it techy. And I just build a card full of information. So like the company, the headquarters, when they started, project they're currently working on, what all their social media is, who's the CEO, who's the HR manager, who's the COO, when's the last time they posted, who works in recruiting, what their company cultures are. What are their values? What's their mission statement? What's their, it's everything. I'm taking everything. And it's really quick, honestly, because it's all on the website. So just go to the website and go to their about page. And I like to just get a good feel of the company. So I can simulate into their company culture that I've already established. And then I make my resume mirror the company. So if I'm applying to, let's say I'm applying to Target. I want to be a social media manager at Target or anything at Target, doesn't matter. I'm going to make my resume white and red. Like I'm going to make the resume look like Target's brand because it's a brand. If I apply to the same exact social media manager job, but it's at Five Below, it can be blue because, they don't hate the color blue clearly because that's their color. Yeah. It's like, they're not going to be mad that their logo is in a resume or cover letter because that's their logo. You're inside of their walls basically. Yeah. So I was just doing this all night. It's just like building a file, getting all this information. And then after I had all my resumes done, resume writer, I do it very quickly, but after I'd make it match the job vacancy announcement and make myself appear like the ideal candidate because they're asking for, hey, we're looking for an innovative and creative social media manager. My resume is going to say innovative and creative social media manager because that's what they asked for. If the next one at Five Below says they're looking for an analytical and organized social media manager, great. Now I'm analytical and I'm organized. Even if I'm also talented and creative and innovative, but they're asking for someone who's analytical and organized. So I'm telling them, oh, hey, by the way, guess what? I'm analytical and I'm organized because companies are looking for different things. Even in the same title, they have different values. They have missions. They have different customs, cultures. Everything's different. So I curate and I tailor my resumes and my cover letters to match the job vacancy announcement and the company brand. It's all a brand. It's all marketing. It's all business. And then I just blast it out. Like, honestly, I'm just fishing and I just was blasting them out late on Sunday. And the only other little tip that I did that helps me get recruiters to pay attention is that I will directly message them specifically too. Like I don't just apply through the career page or the LinkedIn or whatever. I will hit someone up. I'll find somebody. I'll do my Google. I'll find somebody. And I just subject line it extremely direct. Just Andrea, social media manager at Five Below 2023 or whatever, And then I just send them like a cute little script to get right to the point. Tell them hey, I saw your post. I'm the exact person you're looking for. I have the years of experience. I have the skills that you listed. Can't wait to hear back from you for next steps. Like I make it seem like I'm already getting the interview. So like, let's set it up. Let's go.
That's good. That's interesting. So if we're going to summarize this, what I think was super amazing about that is you changed your resume to match the colors of it. I've never heard someone do that before. That is very crazy. And then for the one that make it match, and then you would just directly email this recruiter and say, hey, I'm super interested in this social media marketing position at Five Below.
Right.
And then was there any like personalization within that email? Hey, I saw you went to Oklahoma. Where you went? Hey, I saw you went to Oklahoma as well. Or hey, what state? I went to Oklahoma, like type of thing. Or was it just like a copy and paste of a script?
All my scripts, copy and paste. I literally post everything I do, all the scripts in my featured section of my LinkedIn. So people can definitely check that out. I don't hold back any of the information. I don't make people pay for anything. It's not even like that fancy of a script, in my opinion. It's just a script that works because it gets to the point. And I definitely don't say if we have something in common, because I'm telling you, I'm really creepy. Like, if I see on their Instagram that they just ate like a red velvet cupcake, oh my God, I saw your Instagram. You like red velvet. I'm not that wild, but that is a good thing to keep in your back pocket, like for the interview. You can send some stuff in there very casually too. Not, hey, I was creeping on you, but yeah, oh, thanks for taking this meeting with me. We just went to the bakery and got a red velvet cupcake. Definitely done stuff like that. It definitely works. But more like, hey, I saw that we had mutual connections. Something like that. Like, instead of like, oh, we both love stand-up comedy kind of thing. I saw your interests. More like, I saw that we had mutual connections here on LinkedIn. Like, hey, our networks are similar. What's up? I'm looking for a job. So, but people can honestly try it. I love it. A good trial and error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm curious too what the resume is. Should people fear for over optimizing their resume with the keywords? Is that a worry that job seekers should have, is over optimizing their resume with keywords?
Something that I have seen or that I've heard of from audience members, especially on TikTok in the lives and stuff, is there's a lot of overthinking about the optimization. Like, they go a little overboard. This girl, we were doing a resume review on my live on LinkedIn the other day, and she was going for like a branding coordinator position. And every line in her resume was like, branding coordinator, brand. I do brands. I help with brands. I was like, man, so you work with brands, huh? It was just like, why did you put the word brand on here 50 times? She's like, I was trying to make it match the job. And I'm like, yeah, you put it once in the title. That's fine. You put it again. You reiterate it in the profile statement in the top. That's fine. That's great. Definitely do that. You could maybe say it again somewhere, but you don't have to overdo it, because it's like, once you have one of the keywords or the keyword strings, you're pretty good. Like, you match, it's not, does she do branding? It's not like they only look at the resume for 6 to 7 seconds anyway. So like, if you're repeating the word brand 50 times, you could have swapped that out for another keyword that's on there, especially if that's the title of the position. It's better to focus on your impact and how your work with brands has impacted the bottom line of your consumer, of your client, of the buyer, of the audience in some amount of ways. It's better to do that and showcase how you have made money, saved money, or saved time through your coordination of brand, than to just say brand a million times. But there's so many little tricks and stuff that I like show people on how to just make your resume tailored and make it match. You don't have to feed it so many keywords.
Yeah. And I'm curious of like the styling that goes into like building a resume. So if you want to be a social media marketing manager, I mean, can you tell us what's important to someone that wants to break into like social media marketing? And should they have like a resume that's like really like pretty in that sense? Should it be pretty, or should it just be pretty standard? How do you approach that?
It's a great question. So you always will have a split with resume formatting and designs. There's people who have seen very, very pretty, very graphic heavy resumes that are like, oh, that'll never fit the ATS. It'll be banned immediately, which isn't always true, because a lot of ATS have evolved. They have tech, like every day they're improving. Now there's AI and all this stuff. And like, there are systems that do read graphic heavy and colorful resumes. Does that mean have a rainbow resume with your picture all over it? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Definitely not a picture, but just because bias, not because of the ATS. But like, there's all these ways to get past the ATS and around the ATS. You email it directly, you're not dealing with the ATS anymore. You send it directly on LinkedIn, no ATS anymore. You're calling directly, you're building your network, referrals, no ATS. Like, there's ways to get around it. But if we're strictly ATS, interested, I guess, with applying strictly through Workday or Lever or Greenhouse or something like that, Job Depot, whatever it is. Social media, UX, UI, graphic design, more creative jobs. you might want to put a little fit because it's like, it's a work sample. It's a sample of your work. That doesn't mean if you have a black and white resume with like absolutely no formatting, stylistic design or anything, that doesn't mean you're not going to get the job or not going to look at you. I always try to tell people, especially on my website, I will try to tell people in the myth of color on your resume is like, if you have 100 people who applied to a job and everybody's resume is black and white and yours has like a blue line on it, the eye actually just immediately sees that one over the others. So because so many people, they buy into this false ideology that resumes with color are absolutely going in the trash, you have a better chance of it appealing to the eye. If you have like a subtle little slight little something, like I do resume art basically, but a lot of social media people, purple. Purple's nice. Like a nice little light purple. It's nice. It just looks nice.
I like that. And I want to pivot to, we're staying on social media marketing, but I'm also just curious because social media marketing, it's an attractive gig. It's an attractive gig. A lot of people want to be in social media marketing, especially if it's like their first role. It's like, I love social media. Like I'm going to go try me a social media like manager, or someone just the role. So how would you advise someone to break into social media marketing who comes from a background, either they're just right out of college or like they don't really have a social media background?
Yeah. So the best way to break in, go to really anything, but if we're doing social media marketing, we're doing social media content creation, something like that. The best way to get in there is to, yes, resume, yes, cover letter, yes. You know all your stuff in a row. That's for everything though.
Yeah.
But specifically social media, right out of college, it helps you so much to have your LinkedIn together because that is social media. And people like to look at LinkedIn like this huge professional networking forum. And if you don't have a business or if you're not a CEO, you can't even be on it. I hire so many people all the time that are just like, I can't have a LinkedIn. I've never done anything. Like, it's not about that. It's just a social media platform. Like people are on there with their dogs and ice cream and stuff like it's the same thing. So having your LinkedIn together and just following the tips, you can definitely copy mine all the way down. Mine's fantastic. And you just can like get your foot in the door by setting up your profile to have other people reach out to you first without you having to apply. It's the best way to go about most pivots or career transitions.
Yeah.
Like if you've never worked in social media before, quote, quote, which I don't try to tell people because if you've ever been on social media, you worked on social media because you are scrolling, right? Like even if you scroll, you don't post anything, you don't do anything on it yourself personally, you're building somebody else's brand by commenting, liking, sharing, by engaging, by even just being on the screen, watch times with YouTube, things like that. You know about it. You could learn about it. You're on it and you're a direct consumer of content. If you consume a lot of content, you do really, really well with idea sourcing. You do really well with collaboration. You do really well with algorithm boosts because you are the algorithm. Like you're on the algorithm. Like you're actually producing analytics for other people. Because if I go on my TikTok and I go to my analytics and it's you have a 15% increase of people watching you in Fiji. The people in Fiji watching me are increasing my marketing. They're increasing my analytics. I'm not doing that. Like I am because I make content, but I don't control that. You know, I don't control who likes me on Tuesday rather than Wednesday. It just happens. You post it, you let it go, and now you're in the algorithm. But everybody else is doing it. Most people aren't content creators, they're content consumers. So if you consume content, I mean, like you are working in social media, if you like it or not. So there's always a way to structure your resume and your pitch of your own self and your own skills in a way to get people to be like, oh, let's hire them because they know about this industry and this space. They're in it all day anyway. You scroll all day anyway. No, short answer, LinkedIn.
Yeah. And would you recommend someone to, if they're going to create on any platform, it's Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, would you recommend them that they create on LinkedIn if they're trying to break into social media marketing?
I always try to tell people to at least build your LinkedIn profile to be relevant for the role that you want. So you don't necessarily have to become a content creator overnight. Some people don't want to do that. Maybe they want to be like SEO writer, or maybe like they're an ad specialist, or maybe they do Facebook ads when they're not really have anything to do with LinkedIn, or they don't have anything to do with Instagram Reels or anything. But the best thing that you could do is to make your LinkedIn relevant. So you don't necessarily have to make the content, but if you repost relevant content, you share your idea about it, repost people's content with, oh, this is my favorite part about social media management, or like, just say anything, honestly. Like people tweet all the time, Facebook all the time, on Instagram, Snapchat, but they don't do anything with their LinkedIn because they feel like they're being looked at or they're being judged. You're being judged and looked at everywhere. Go outside, you're being looked at and you're being judged. So it doesn't really matter. But I think people are so hesitant because they think it's so professional. It's not. It's just a social media platform, but it is one that will help you just kind of like with your own like human capital labor market branding, which helps you get more jobs without you having to try so hard. I would say maybe you make a couple of posts that are relevant to social media marketing or social media management, just like day in life of a social media manager. Or this is my favorite new trend. Or da 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 da. Like you could honestly watch a YouTube video and talk about what you learned on the YouTube video in a post. Very simple, very short, to the point. And then following a lot of social media managers to build your network of people who are to the role that you want. Commenting on their posts, liking their posts so that your activity looks like you're a social media manager, or at least in the world or in the network of it. But yeah, no, you don't necessarily need to be like tweeting all day about that because nobody's really checking your Twitter unless like you're getting dragged on there or something, or if something wild happens, but nobody's really checking it. But they do look at your LinkedIn. They might look at your Instagram too, but as long as they're not like wilding out, it's not such a big deal. But LinkedIn is the better place to at least establish some type of work brand.
Yes. And I'm curious, like, once you do, because you talked about it, like, oh, yeah, like you can create content, be super active, and you're basically already like a social media manager. But can you talk to us like the day to day of a social media manager, like what actually goes on like within this role?
Yeah. So you are on social media. So this is the part that I think people don't get all the time. Especially if you have like bigger followings, or if you are trying to build bigger followings for other people. Let's say you're managing accounts and things, which can get wild. And I know a couple of people who started businesses straight up through their managing of other people's social media accounts.
Yeah.
No, you're on the clock. Honestly, kind of 24/7. That's it. It's the different little things, especially because, we can work remote, which I love. But you wake up, you do your meditations, you might make a smoothie or whatever, and then you're on that phone. Like you're on the phone and you're not on the phone talking or anything. You're answering messages and answering comments. You're going through, you're boosting the engagement. You're creating like little content, talking about things, like little posts like, oh, somebody for me.
Yeah.
Somebody else just got a job for $150,000. Yay, amazing. Now somebody's this, somebody's that, da, da, da. Like someone just got into tech. Oh my gosh, I told you. Oh, period. We're out here. Like you're just saying, you're involved in the slang and in this space, and you're retweeting the right viral posts. You're talking about your views and your opinions on specific things. Maybe you're in a Twitter space that day. Maybe you're on Instagram, you're looking at the reels. People are sending you things all day. Like I literally have all my notifications off because my phone is going to be blowing up, buzzing all day. I don't like that. So I'm always on mindfulness mode. But when you're in there, you are replying back to people. You're liking what the people say. You're replying back. You're coming up with the content that you are going to be posting that day. There is some type of content agenda if you don't want to make a whole entire calendar, which I absolutely don't do because I like to be like on the spot. But there is an agenda. There's like, oh, I can post this today. You're in the shower thinking about, oh, what am I going to post today? What's going to be good today? Oh, that's a good idea. You're asking your friends like, oh, what trend should I jump on today? Is there anything good that you saw? Because your friends are going to be on social media consuming the content more than you are now, because now you're working the content. You are the content. And then, very much you could be on Adobe Spark. You could be on, Creative Cloud, you could be on Canva, or you could just be straight up making your videos, your reels, your TikTok. You could be on the live. Like you're actually creating this world for other people, for your audience, or for whatever is going on in the audience for your clients. So you have to know your brand, you have to know your voice. If you're doing it for other people, you will be switching voices and you'll be switching audiences throughout the day, which I don't think is hectic. And it can be hectic if you're not very organized. So just having like a good organization of like what you're working on, who you're working with, and what the end all goal is will help. There's so many tools that help with that too. And, like posting schedule is fun too. But honestly, it's people don't understand how much work actually goes into it.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing it. Just scrolling all day, fine, whatever. When you're making it, and especially when there's some type of buzz going on, and honestly, not to make people not want to do the job. Definitely do the job. But when things go viral, man, it is not how people think. Like people think, oh God. Like when people think like, oh my gosh, I want to go viral. Like, people talk about clout being a drug and like all this stuff. Like, oh my gosh, like I really want more likes on my posts and stuff like that. Which is good, drive sales. It's good for business. But when things go viral, your phone doesn't stop. It literally doesn't stop. Like it does not stop. And it might, and this, depending on what platform you're on, like TikTok has a long lifespan. Like it could be a video could go reviral from months ago just because whatever. It doesn't stop. Like you actually need to turn your notifications on. It does not stop. And you can't even get I used to reply back to every single comment I got on TikTok. I do not do that anymore. I used to reply back to every DM. Oh, it was a mess. Be up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, just like trying to reply back to people, answer people's questions. I created an FAQ because of that. But it's a whole new world. And you kind of have to just get used to the lifestyle, especially with bigger brands. And you just kind of have to figure out ways to stay in the game and not let it just spiral out of control, because you have to remember that people are a little fickle.
Yep.
They're a little fickle. Like, it's like you create some really good content this one day, the next day you could be gone. Or, in the next month, that's no longer the thing that people, it's so quick.
Yeah.
So any aspiring social media managers, you're not aspiring, you already do it. You're on social media all the time. So like you do it. But I would say if you're just authentic to your brand or authentic to the voice of the company that you're doing the branding for, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just, learn how to block people and just get involved with the content that you're making. Cause it's a whole lifestyle. It's different. It's different than most jobs.
I feel that. And so last question for you. This has been awesome. I mean, just overarching advice. You think about like social media marketing, you think about content curation. What advice would you give to a young, let's say 22, 23-year-old that is just in their job search right now?
Yeah. For all the youngs out there, I would say remote. Some people don't like remote work because they want to be in a collaboration and da-da-da-da-da. Try to get a remote job. I don't care. At least try it out if you've never had one before. Definitely. Just because there's so much freedom. There's so much freedom with your time to where you're able to not only save money with the commute, you have so much time to kind of like really find out what you want to do with your life, with the day, and to go through my curated lists on LinkedIn to find remote roles, because I post remote roles throughout the week that are currently hiring, and you can just find something that fits what you feel like you could do or learn well. I think so many people are getting so discouraged with the job market right now, especially in tech, because I'm a tech resume coach. And I transition people into tech all the time who come from non-technical backgrounds, which is way easier than people think it is. But people really will be like, there's no jobs. That is false. Like it's literally just false. And I think people like to buy into that idea to help them feel better about how they've been doing in the job market. But it's just like, no, your resume is bad. Come on. Or no, your LinkedIn isn't filled out. What are you talking about? It's like, no, you don't ever re-hit somebody up.
Yep.
Like there's little things you can do to like some people just honestly forget that someone applied to the position that they were going to reach out to. Or they're just so busy. There was like 1,000 people who applied and you're in the little pool, but they forgot, like, reach back out to them and be like, hello, I'm out here.
That's awesome. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for joining us. A lot of great tips in here with social media marketing. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
You're so welcome. Thank you. It was a blast.